Madeline, I wonder whether you could describe for us the role of an educational psychologist.
The idea that a psychologist just works in the field of education is perhaps misleading. A psychologist is the voice of the child, or a child who has any sort of difficulty. And it's the responsibility of the psychologist to identify through assessment and through communicating well with parents and teachers and other professionals how we can support the child and make a difference to their outcomes.
So how would a school make use of the services of an educational psychologist?
I think there are different levels where an educational psychologist can support what's happening in schools, because fundamentally if the school are aware of the child's difficulties, then they can make accommodations. So in order to support the school, we need to do good quality clinical assessments that would then lead to the advice that we'd give to schools and parents to make a difference to the child.
So what about parents? If a parent had a child that saw an educational psychologist, what sort of things could a parent expect from that?
By the time a parent decides that it's important for their child to be seen, they will have concerns across a whole range of issues. It may be the child's learning, it may be the child's emotional well-being. And so the role of the psychologist with the parent is first of all to listen to their concerns and on that basis examine the child and then work specifically with parents to improve the child's outcomes, because a parent is the person who has the greatest responsibility for the child. Child in school is only there 13% of the time, the other 87% are somewhere else.
So could you describe what would happen if a child actually saw an educational psychologist? What's the sort of model of assessment?
Having been here for some time, I'm aware that the models that are available here perhaps don't underpin early identification of a child's needs. So first of all, the assessment can be for children aged really between 18 months and 19, 20. The first part of the assessment is to get to know the child and then undertake very specific assessments to see whether they have difficulties just with learning, difficulties with processing, difficulties with language, and by finding the key to the problem, then we can be much more successful in determining how that child can best be helped.
Are there any particular things from your experience of this country that you've noticed the infrastructure doesn't really exist to support currently?
One of the major difficulties over here is finding a professional who is able to assess children across the age range. There are particular problems with children under the age of 5, and of course getting in early with a 3-year-old can make such a difference that on entry to full-time education their progress is in the expected range. Other difficulties are finding professionals who will do clinical assessments and then the assessment moves on to intervention, and that is the biggest area of problem, that assessments seem to be valued but then there is no one in the schools to take them forward. So if a psychologist recommending particular programs for movement, particular programs for social skills development, there's nobody in that environment that can work with a child.